So we are now less than 1 week away from E3, the biggest convention of the year for video games. Everyone shows up there for the most part and shows games, shows new surprises, announcements, and for the most part, a lot of gamers now get together and enjoy it as well because it's open to the public for the most part. It's still pretty hard to get tickets because they sell out pretty quick, but technically, yes, if you're a fan and you just want to go, you can do that. Now, today we're going to go over all of the schedules for the big companies that'll be streaming. This is one of the biggest questions I see in comments on the different news waves I do, things like that, is when is this company or when's this company or whoever, whether it's Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Ubisoft, whoever, when are they doing their live stream? Now, if you're subscribed here and you have notifications on, you'll be alerted when we go live because we're going to be live streaming pretty much all of the big ones, okay? We're going to be doing that like we kind of did last year where we live streamed all of the big ones, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. I'm looking forward to it because, of course, it's E3, which means we're going to see hopefully some cool stuff. So let's go through all of the different press conferences so you can see when they're going to happen, and I'm going to give you an idea of what we should be looking forward to for any of these. We're going to start with EA, of course, because they are the ones who are kicking off everything with EA Play. This is actually happening Saturday, June 9th. This is going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific or 2 p.m. Eastern Time. They do this, they did this last year as well, where they jumped out in front. They were the first ones to have their whole press conference and everything. They show off a lot of stuff generally because EA, of course, is a pretty big publisher for these different games. We're specifically looking for a few, though, because we already know about Battlefield 5, right? Battlefield 5 was shown off in decent detail ahead of time, and then we're probably going to get deep dives, actual gameplay, things like that, which is going to be great. We should also be looking forward to Anthem, because that is one of the biggest question marks right now, because it seems like BioWare really needs it to do well, and they're going to obviously be pushing it as it's more than likely coming up within the next year total, right? Somewhere in there, because they're looking to have it out more than likely in the first half of 2019 for Anthem, but they're definitely going to be showing it heavily because all we've had so far is kind of that trailer / scripted gameplay that we saw. I expect to see a lot more here and have it pretty much shown completely. Of course, you're going to get all of the sports games, you know, the Maddens, FIFAs, NHLs, all of those will be there. I don't know if a Need for Speed will show up. That series might have to go on break for a bit because the last one didn't do so well with the whole loot box thing. But we'll see. Either way, look forward to EA. They're going to kick things off starting on Saturday. From there, we have Microsoft on Sunday. They are going to have their entire live stream press conference starting at 1 p.m. Pacific or 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is one that a lot of people have marked on their calendar because Microsoft obviously needs to show some big stuff here, specifically things like Crackdown 3, right? That's one. Of course, we'll probably see the second Ori game, the Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Forza Horizon 4 should be there, as we kind of already heard about it and everything. And of course, Forza is one of those series that's set up to be pretty much, obviously, predictable. Halo 6, we assume, is going to be there. I mean, Halo's obviously been in development for a little while now, since Halo 5 came out years ago. And we're kind of looking forward to the next iteration. That is a game that they can put out there, and it'll do very well, obviously. It has the lore, it has the backing, and there are fans who desperately want the next Halo game. One of the other big rumors, which is interesting, seems to point to 3 different Gears of War games. I like to think that it's really 2, because one of them is Gears of War 5 with a Battle Royale mode built in, and the other one is like an RTS, like a real-time strategy game like Halo Wars. Those are some of the rumored things. Then, of course, we hear about Perfect Dark, and after hearing what Rare was saying about other companies being able to use their IPs, some of us got excited for things like maybe a Banjo-Kazooie revival. But this is going to be a 2-hour thing. It's very long. It's longer than last year, and they had a whole system to show off last year. So this is going to be interesting. Keep an eye on this one. Again, though, if you're subscribed here, you will see it go live. This is one of the big press conferences I'm really looking forward to because Microsoft, they have a lot to show. Bethesda is going to go live later on that night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's going to be 9:30 Eastern time. So their conference goes a little bit into the night if you're on the Eastern time zone. But they still have quite a few things to show. We saw Fallout 76, right? That is going to be there. Rage 2 will be there. And then there's a lot of other things. We hear about Starfield a lot. We assume that's going to be there. But other than that, they've done a pretty good job keeping things quiet, other than, I guess, they want to just put out Fallout 76. And then Rage 2 was pretty much shown by Walmart, even though they say it was always planned to be shown. I don't know how true that is, but last year they showed a bunch of stuff. I expect them to do some big stuff this year, And I'd be curious if they have any other Nintendo support after this whole thing with Nintendo and Bethesda doing things obviously with Skyrim, Doom, and then Wolfenstein 2. Do they have anything to announce there for the Nintendo system? Because we already know they're going to have plenty of support for the PS4 and the Xbox One. That is one of the biggest things to keep an eye on. Digital Devolver is another a stream that you're not going to see a ton of games get shown there, but man, their press conference last year was absolutely hilarious. Now they're going live at 8 p.m. Pacific or 11 p.m. Eastern time, and they kind of keep it like at night for the most part, late night, because their live streams aren't exactly family friendly. They had a lot of fun with it last year though. They didn't show a ton of games, but man, if you want to watch a live press conference that's very fun and entertaining, last year's was it. Go back and take a look for the 2017 Digital Devolver E3 press conference. It was like 15 or 16 minutes long, but they had a lot of fun with it. Seriously, they made fun of a lot of live press conferences. They made fun of early access, and they just really had a good time with it, really. And it kept people entertained on live stream. There were a lot of memes made out of it, and it was just a lot of fun. So if anything, if you just want a good laugh, it'll probably be like 15, 20 minutes long, and you probably will see some games, obviously. Definitely tune in to that to check out what kind of, I guess, performance they have for us this year.
Wonderful. Wouldn't you say so? Devolver Digital Big Fancy Press Conference 2017 audience? How about you, audience at home? All right, shut up.
We're now going to move over to the following day, June 11th. Square Enix is going to be kicking off festivities that day. 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. Square will be going live, and this is where we're going to find out, hopefully, our Kingdom Hearts 3 release date that I still think is in November, maybe the second week of November. We'll probably see that. We'll hear about all kinds of other stuff. They'll probably also talk about Octopath Traveler a bit, but they have a lot of stuff, things like Final Fantasy VII Remake, that people are trying to figure out what's going on there. Are they ready to show anything? I believe they also have things like Dragon Quest 11. They'll probably talk a bit about that. And the big one that I think is kind of just out there, and we haven't really heard much other than that it's happening, is their Avengers project. I want to know if we're going to get an announcement and a trailer of some kind, and maybe some in-game footage or something. I don't know. Square is definitely not concerned about showing something too early, but this might be a time where it's too early. I think maybe next E3 is where they'll really do a deep dive on it, but if they want to get people excited for a project that's going to still probably be in development for a few more years, this would be the time to at least show it. Following that one, Ubisoft is going to have theirs the same day, June 11th. We're still on June 11th, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And Ubisoft has quite a few things to show. We know about Skull and Bones. I assume that's going to be there. Beyond Good and Evil 2, that one should also be there. Starlink, The Division 2. These are all games that we've kind of already know about, but then we keep hearing about Splinter Cell, right, from the rumor mill. That's the one that I think everyone wants to see there. And then, of course, we will see probably a lot more about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because there is the rumor going around that is actually coming out this holiday, and there's a lot they need to catch us up on for that, because they talk about how it's going to be completely different, or at least they're hyping it up that way. But they need to show quite a bit, including gameplay and some sort of deep dive around that, especially if we're expected to buy it in November, and we're going to hear about it at E3. The PC Gaming Show is later on, June 11th, still 3 p.m. Pacific time. That's 6 p.m. Eastern. And this is going to be one of the hardest ones to predict, because I don't know. The thing about the PC Gaming Show is it's a lot of companies that release stuff for PC, and there's a lot of companies that do that. And I almost thought that maybe Cyberpunk would show up there with their, with obviously Cyberpunk, right? CD Projekt Red would show up with Cyberpunk 2077, but they might want to take that and put it on Xbox's or PlayStation stage, because not as many people watch the PC Gaming Show as obviously Microsoft or Sony, and it's going to be on those consoles more than likely. So I would expect them to show up there. However, you could see maybe a deep dive here. There's word that Oculus is going to be there, maybe with a new model or something. Again, it's very hard to predict what happens at the PC Gaming Show. However, we'll be on later on that day. And then the last conference of that day, June 11th, is PlayStation. That's 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And they pretty much already told us most of what we're going to see, right? We already know Days Gone, right? That's going to be there, some sort of deep dive. They told us all these games are getting deep dives, pretty much. Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, and then more than likely Days Gone, although it's already been pushed to next year. Spider-Man, yeah, that'll be there, but at this point, I think I'm just ready to play Spider-Man. I don't really need much else. We've seen a lot of stuff as it is. Medieval Remaster, keep an eye out for that one because it was announced at the PlayStation Experience. We haven't seen anything else since then. And then you should see some third-party announcements, specifically from Capcom more than likely. Something like a Devil May Cry 5, which has been shown on retailers. And then that Resident Evil Remake 2, which I do think, the Resident Evil 2 Remake, I should say, I do think that's ready to go probably this year or early 2019. And I think they're going to choose to show it on the PlayStation stage because I think it is a PlayStation exclusive. So keep an eye for that, and any other third parties showing up there, but it's definitely going to have a massive focus on most of the games we already know about. And then finally, June 12th seems to be geared up to pretty much be all Nintendo because they're going to have their press conference, and they're going to have a pretty long Treehouse. Seriously, Treehouse is going to be hours. I think last year it was like 4 or 5 hours. It was a long time where they obviously show a lot of gameplay and everything. Their Nintendo Direct that they're going to do for E3 starts 9 a.m. Pacific or noon Eastern, and it looks set to be roughly 30 to 35 minutes, and it's going to be, according to them, games that are coming out this year in 2018. And there's a lot that they need to show us because they need to really paint a good picture for 2018. Smash Brothers is definitely going to be at the top of the list along with Pokemon, but also look for Fire Emblem that we know is what we assume is coming out this year because they keep saying Fire Emblem 2018 over and over again, but we don't know anything about it. And then, of course, Yoshi will definitely be there as well because I think that is also a 2018 game. They told us about it last E3, and then we really haven't seen it since. I do think it's going to be ready this holiday, though. Now, there, of course, could be some surprise announcements. You could see a Pikmin. You could see an Animal Crossing. I'm also curious if that Star Fox game will be here, or maybe that's something they announced at the Treehouse. I feel like that is one of their bigger games with retro, though, so they probably want some kind of spotlight on it. Although, they probably will announce something at the Treehouse, and it might be 3DS related. So keep that in mind, because more than likely the Direct is going to be all Switch, and then they'll put some 3DS stuff in the Treehouse, which should immediately follow. So this will end 9:30 a.m. Pacific around there, or 12:30 Eastern, and they're going to go right into the Treehouse pretty much right after, just like they did last year. They'll show amiibos and all kinds of stuff, but it looks set. It looks set to be good, and then I'm going to be curious if Metroid Prime 4, although I don't think Prime 4 is coming out this year, and they're focusing mostly on 2018 games, so I don't really expect to see much about Metroid Prime 4, maybe a trailer or something, but that seems like it's coming out next year, although I guess they could surprise us, and then maybe Bayonetta 3 as well. There's a lot of stuff to go over, so don't be surprised if you see a lot more than what you think 30 minutes would show you, because they do have the Treehouse to go over everything. Quick reveals in the Direct, and then long deep dives in the Treehouse, just like last year. All right, guys, that's the entire schedule of all the big live streams that you can expect to see. Again, if you're subscribed here, you will get notifications when we go live and we live stream these. We're gonna go live probably 15 to 20 minutes before each one, and we'll probably even have a pre-show and then a post-show for the bigger ones. So make sure you're around, make sure you're subscribed, because you don't want to miss that. It's the easiest way to really see if there is a live stream happening, because we'll be live streaming it. So you can watch it on your phone or computer or wherever. We'll keep you guys up to date there. And then, of course, make sure to subscribe for all gaming news, related stuff, and everything like that as well. And then make sure you guys like the video if you enjoyed it. Hopefully this helps you out, right? Hopefully this helps you, just in case you were trying to figure out, oh, when's this live stream? Okay, thanks, made it easier. Hopefully it helps you guys out. And I'm really looking forward to E3. I'm excited. So we got a week. Let's get through this week. Let's get to E3. Let's get some new games announced. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.